Hey guys, today we are making a tooltip. That's it. Let's get started. First I wanted to show you really quickly though, this new feature in Figma where you can have a custom cursor. You just click on that cursor up there and you can randomize it by clicking surprise me. That's super cool. Surprise. They have different ones for different eras. My favorite are the Y2K ones. Look, it's the Shiba guy and the cat. I'm gonna go with the airplane. The 8-bit's it's a little too much for me. The 8-bit, too old. Don't take offense to that. All right, let's go with the airplane. This is my style. I like it. So that's that. Let's get started with the tutorial. If you want this file, you can head over to shmeltstudios.com and get a studio pass, and that will be there for you. So you don't have to make it, but if you want to make it, let's do it. F on your keyboard, and let's use a phone. We're going to use a hover effect, and I know you can't hover on the phone, so don't come for me, but this is just the frame I want to use for this application. So let's go with the lighter gray, something like this. Maybe we give it a little blue. Something like that. All right, very nice. And we're going to make a tooltip of a person's profile. So let's do a portfolio setting. So I'm going to zoom in here. And we're going to make a frame, F on your keyboard. And let's drag out a box by holding Shift to make it proportionate. Go back to Design. And I want this to be pretty small. So let's go 24 pixels. And let's add in a image of a person. So I'm going to go to Plugins, Unsplash. And let's just type in guy. We want a dude. All right, that looks good. Let's round the corners. I'm gonna say 50. I'm gonna give it a stroke of white. On the outside, it's gonna be a gradient, and I want the bottom to be at 0, so it gives it a gradient effect. And it's looking a little too thick, so let's go 0.5. That looks good. All right, this guy's name is going to be Mike Willis. No idea why. Just wanted it to be. And if that's not spelt right, I went to art school, not English. Or not for English. See what I mean? All right, Shift A. Auto layout. We're going to put it at 8 pixels. All right. And let's go. We want to individually add padding. So before that, let's add a fill so we can kind of see what we're doing here. And I want it to be darker and a blue hue. Something like that. All right, so for the left side, let's go 6. For the other side, we want to go a little bit bigger. I'm going to say 12. And then for these, I want it to be squeezed in pretty good. So 4. That looks like a good ratio, and I am going to round the corners at 50, and that looks pretty nice. All right, looks good to me. Actually, I might want to make this a little bit lighter, like that. All right, Mike's ready for his close-up. Let's add another frame, F on your keyboard, make a box, and a pretty big, just like so. Steal this color right here. And let's round these corners here. Holding Shift will give me increments of 10. I'm going to say 20 looks good to me. Is that too round? Might be too round. Let's go 16. That looks good. Okay. I'm going to copy Mike's photo and his text up. So I'm going to go Option Drag up into here. Shift A again. And then vertically align them in the center. And what I want this to do is I want this to be an auto layout so I can move the sides all the way stretched out. So let's do an auto layout, Shift A, which will hug it. But this is its own auto layout inside. So I want this to fill the container. And it's not filling all the way because we have padding set to 44, which we don't want. So I'm going to say 0. And for the frame on top, which this is the container, and we can name this so we know. Contain, if I can spell. And then this is going to be like a header, I guess. All right, so the top, I don't want any padding on the top either, so I'm going to say 0. All right, I'm going to move the horizontal to fixed because I want to just drag it out to where I want it. All right, so this is in the center, which means I'm going to give padding to him on top and bottom. We'll say 20. That looks right. And let's put a different color in there so we know that this is the banner. And we want it to be probably a lighter gray, so I'm going to take this and then go up with it a little. I'm going to make his photo a little bit bigger. Let's say 30. I'm going to bring this text down to 10. That looks right. And maybe adjust this to 6. All right, that's looking good. Okay, let's add some more information about him. We're going to take his name, Command D. We're going to put it out of the banner into this section here. And I'm going to grab a couple icons for what we want to do. So I'm going to go to my untitled UI icons. I've linked this on my website, so you can just go grab it. It's by these guys. They're really good. I'm going to grab this @ sign. So you just go up to the assets panel. You can buy this with all these crazy cool stuff. I just got the free one. Like I said, it's in my website, shmeltstudios.com. And I'm going to go to assets and I'm going to type in gut. I'm going to grab this @ sign, insert, just like that. I want him to have a briefcase for the portfolio. If I can spell, here we go. And I want like an envelope, so mail, something like that. All right, I'm going to grab these, Command X, take it back in my other file, and paste them in here. All right, these are linked to this file back here, and I don't want them to be, so I'm going to grab them all, and then go Option Command B, and that's going to disconnect. B as in boy, by the way. Option L will close all these layers. And now that we have them closed, I'm going to just take off these grid lines because I don't need them. And what happens if I shrink this down? So just say I shrink it down. If you can see, it gets really thick, and that's because it's a stroke. All right, so we have the stroke that's kind of telling you how thick it will be, which I don't want on there. I just want it to remain the same size. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the icon here inside. I'm going to go to Object and then Outline Stroke. And that's going to make it a fill. So now when I shrink it down, it has that consistent thickness. All right, let's do it to all of them. Object. Want to outline the stroke. Object, outline stroke. All right, I'm going to grab all of these. And let's make it white right now. And I want them to be 8 pixels. I wonder if it'll do it, but yeah. 8. There we go. So for the first one, it's going to be his portfolio. So I'm going to drag this in here. His name and the portfolio sign, Shift A to make an auto layout horizontally and aligned. We want this to be at something like 8 or less. Let's go 6, and I want his name to be way smaller. Maybe like 8 or smaller. No, that'll be fine. Okay. So this is my, let's say, portfolio. All right. I'm going to add another container around this. So Shift A again. And I want this to fill the container, place it into the, well, fill the container and keep it left aligned. Yeah, to the top. That's fine. And then the padding shrunk into about 20. I also want this to be a light gray, I think. Now it looks professional. All right, so Mike Willis, you're going to go to mikewillis.com to find him. Don't go there. I made this guy up, so be careful. Uh, duplicate, Command D. And for his email, you're going to go to, this is a terrible email, but mike@mikewillis.com. And then duplicate again. And let's just say Mike-Willis is his @name. And we don't want to use that. All right, so now I'm going to just pop these guys in here. And put this guy right in here. I'm going to grab both of them, though. This one and this one. I'm going to change the stroke to be this color. And delete those. There's his socials, and I want to shrink these. Oh, gosh, no. Maybe 6? Very cool. Let's add a little bit of texture back here. So on the header, we're going to give that a background. So Unsplash. Let's give him like a city. Looks like a city guy. That's neat. All right. Let's also move this above here. Let's multiply it on top. Just like that. It's pretty good. Give this a little bit more dimension. Very nice. All right, looks good to me. Now what I want to do is I want to give a button for people to contact him. So let's say T on your keyboard for type. And we'll say contact me. All right, so we want a button, container, and then the button itself. So Shift A, let's give it the container first. Fill in center. And then Shift A again, this will be the button. So we'll just name this so we know. Button, container, and button. All right, batoon. No, button. Oh my gosh, why can't I spell button? Whoa. All right, there we go. Padding of 20 looks good, and 10 looks good. Ooh, maybe we'll want it less or more. Let's fill it. And then for the button container, push it in 10. That looks right. All right, so this button will be there. And let's grab a color from in here a little bit. So let's take this off for a second. And for the button, maybe find a color from inside this yellow sky. Ooh, let's keep that. Put this back on. And then round it to 8. Nope. 2 round. 6. I think we're going to go 4. Round, but not round. And I don't want this much padding in here. Let's go 12. I feel like this button should be rounder if it's, or the whole thing needs to be less round. That looks about right. All right. And then the bottom padding on this, let's give it 10 to give it a little space. That looks good. That looks good. Maybe less on this. No, not that bigger. Ooh, I don't know. That looks kind of good. I'm going to shrink the whole thing. Make it a little smaller. All right, and this background, I want it to be quite a bit darker. Very, very nice. Let's put them up. I'm going to adjust this padding too. Let's go 16. All right, that looks good to me. Now that we have our tulip and our hover state, let's make it work. So I'm going to grab both of them. Let's put them in a frame. So I'm going to go Option Command G. But first I want to make sure they're aligned. And they are. Option Command G will give us a frame. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to command and pull the frame down to about here. All right. So it's still in there, but it's not. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a duplicate of this. So I'm going to say this is the default, D-E-F-A-U-L-T, default state. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Option drag another one, and I'm going to call this hover. All right. So in the beginning, when you first see it, it's going to not show this. And then when you do see it, when you hover over, it will show this. So let's make it small, K on your keyboard. While pressing Option, drag down. And what I want to do is hide this under here, like that. All right. So I'm going to go in here, and what I'm going to look for is this piece here I want to be on top. All right. Going into the hover state, we're going to do this as well. This frame, put it on top. Okay. Now for this one, we're going to turn clip content on so it's hidden, because you can't see anything beyond this box when the clip content is on. But when you come to here, you will see everything in this box, and it's bigger. So to make this kind of neat, we are gonna do create a component set, and then Shift E, or you can click on prototype, so Shift E. We're gonna drag this down all the way down to here. You want it to go frame to frame. And what we're going to say is on hover, while hovering, we want it to change to the hover mode. And we want it to smart animate at gentle, let's say 1200 milliseconds. I'm going to take this off my frame, go to Assets, and drag it on to my frame here. All right, so here it is. We're going to test it out by clicking on the frame and then doing Shift spacebar. And we're going to hover over. Now, don't give me flack. I know this is on a phone. I know you can't hover, but you can also set this to tap. So let's hover. That looks really, really cool. I'm going to show you a new feature called multi-edit real quick because I want to add a shadow and I forgot. So here is this feature here. So I have this right here, this frame in my layers container. It's the same name in both states of the component. So I can use this new feature called multi-edit variants. So that's grabbing both the small one I made and this big one. And I want to add a effect to it. I want to add a drop shadow. Add this drop shadow. But it's adding it to both of them, so it won't get all crazy when I edit it. All right. That was just a really quick preview. I'll do a bigger lesson on that later, but just to give you a hint, it's super useful, and I really like it. All right. Shift spacebar. Add a little shadow in there. Nice. That looks really cool. All right. Let's do on tap since this is a phone and I know I'm gonna get flack for it. Shift E, and we'll just switch it to on tap. All right, so when you tap that, it'll go, which means you need to set another state. So on tap, it will also go backwards. So let's do it. All right, this was super fun. If you guys like this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel if you'd like to. And if you want this file or some more files, all my tutorials, go go over to shmeltstudios.com and grab a studio pass. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, guys. Leave a comment on more stuff you want to see. I am starting to make more content now, so thank you.